Hi guys, so today I wanted to talk to you guys about Weird, the Al Yankovic story, and I specifically wanted to talk to you about how it is a parody of Rocketman. I don't know if anyone but me is as obsessed with the movie Rocketman and also saw Weird and feels like they want to talk about it, because I haven't found any articles, any YouTube videos talking about this, but to me, the comparisons were very blatant. This is kind of a parody of other biopics, as evident by the fact that Weird is not a true story. Al is very, very upfront with the fact that all the events are fake, and it gets more and more absurd as it goes. Spoiler alert, the movie literally ends with him getting shot and killed, whereas we know that he is very much alive. So it's pretty obvious to viewers that all the events are manufactured in some way. So I think as a whole, it should be kind of just like a parody of all biopics. But I found insane similarities between the events and scenes in Rocketman and the scenes in Weird. And so I want to do a quick breakdown of those in the order that they are presented in Weird. The order is pretty similar to the order of scenes in Rocketman, but there are some differences, like a scene or two will be before another than the original order in Rocketman, just because it has to follow the trajectory of Al's career somewhat, which is obviously not exactly going to line up with Elton's. It's not too far out of the realm to say that this might have been Al's idea in the first place, considering that he cites Elton John as being one of the main reasons that he got into rock and started playing the accordion in the first place. So that's what I'm kind of going to be going over. So one of the first scenes we get is an unhappy family scene taking place at the dinner table, specifically where the father and the mother and the child are all kind of in conflict. And this is directly a parody of I Want Love in Rocketman. The reason that this is even more important, because you may just be thinking, oh, well, maybe they just had similar upbringings. Al's parents were actually, from what we know, supportive of his work, whereas in the beginning of this movie, they're kind of his biggest poo-pooers, kind of much closer to the relationship that Elton had with his biological parents and his stepfather.
A factory will make a man out of you.
But I don't want to work at the factory. I want to make songs.
What? You want to make songs? Did you hear that, Mary? Well, we got a regular Bing Crosby on our hands, don't we?
Nick, you're embarrassing him.
Hands off the table, Reginald. Stop making that noise.
Amazing grapes, how sweet the juice. I want to love, but it's impossible. It tastes so good to me.
Stop.
I want love.
So then we get a scene where, as a child, the artist suddenly picks up their instrument and becomes enamored with said instrument. For Elton, this is the piano, and for Al, this is the accordion. But we get this kind of humorous parody where Elton is instantly, somehow he just knows the tone of, he's listening to the radio and he plucks out the keys perfectly on the piano. And then to parody this, in Weird, Al plays a few notes on the accordion and they sound horrible.
Tickle those ivories. Unnatural talent.
We also get a comparison where their father is very unhappy, whereas their mother is more secretly, like low-key supportive. The mother buys the accordion for Al after Al's father had just beat up the accordion seller. And then in Rocketman, his mother and his grandmother suggest that he starts taking piano lessons, and his grandmother is the one that drives him to those lessons.
We'd like to buy that accordion.
Mom, you need it?
How do you feel about an early Christmas present?
Yes! This is the best thing ever! Thank you so much!
There's just one thing. No one can see you playing it. Especially your father.
What? Did I do something wrong?
Bloody hell, Sheila. Maybe we should get him some lessons.
Love to. Get him out from under my feet.
Go on, play it again.
I want to play it for Dad.
Then we have a party scene. It's kind of a jokey scene where the accordion is supposed to be kind of similar to like drugs. Like the group is kind of peer pressuring him to do drugs, but the drugs are an accordion, and he's really scared to. But then he breaks out of his shell and he plays it, and everyone's really into it. And this is a parody of the Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting scene from Rocketman, where it's supposed to represent kind of their cool teen years, in that they're kind of like a fresh kid and they don't really fit in with like the punk rebel crowd, but they are getting support from them, and they're also learning from them and getting into a little bit of mischief.
It's the cops! Everyone, run!
Then in Weird, we have this "Do you want to join a band" scene where he's auditioning. He's not really getting anywhere. But then his roommates kind of prop him up and support him. And this is supposed to correlate with the Border Song scene where Elton first meets Bernie, and they just kind of like collab and go off of one another.
I can see by your outfit that you are a cowboy. These words we didn't say as I boldly walk by.
And then following directly after this, we get a scene in Al's apartment with his roommates where he has this aha moment, and he hears a song on the radio, My Sharona, and he just off the top of his head comes up with My Bologna. And this is kind of poking fun at the fact that in Rocketman, Elton has this like aha moment scene also where he is trying to figure out the tune of your song after Bernie has written the lyrics, and it just kind of comes to him, and it's this big moment where they're looking at him like, oh my god, we're Bernie, his mom and his grandmother, like wow. And so it's just this kind of like instant genius moment that's a bit unrealistic, and so Al is poking fun at that here.
The toast is done. Tampered with a little of my banana.
Where did that come from?
Dude, I've got chills.
I don't know, it just came out of me.
I've never heard anything like that before in my life. You have to record that.
Record it? No, come on, guys. Al, you've got something here. I don't know if it comes from God or the devil.
This is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind.
But the world needs to hear it.
No, forget it, guys. I don't have the money for a recording studio.
I think the bathroom at the bus station is pretty good acoustics.
So then we get a scene where the artist goes to a music executive and has an extremely rude interaction with them and their lackey. So this is an especially over-the-top parody of the scene in Rocketman. So Rocketman, Dick James is being very, very rude to Bernie and Elton, and they're playing all these songs that will go on to be classics, and he's saying, like, next, like, this one sucks. And he's just being, like, overall very rude.
Daniel is traveling tonight on the plane.
Depressing, another one.
And I guess that's why they call him the Blue.
What the fuck's that about?
But in Rocketman, Ray, who is Dick James's lackey essentially, is actually being very positive. He's kind of, they're playing like good cop, bad cop in a way, but he's being shot down by Dick James, so he's not really actually giving any sway into the argument. But he is supporting Elton and Bernie and their work.
Ray, says you're an investment. But Ray knows fuck all. You're a couple of pricks as far as I can tell.
Whereas in Weird, this Ray stand-in role is actually being even more critical to a very, like, funny position, where he's just, like, really jamming him down, so much so that the executive, who's played by Weird Al himself, who's kind of like the stand-in for Dick James, is like, okay, that's enough.
We are going to sign him to a 14-album deal.
Wait, really?
No! What do you think I am, an idiot?
He's not an idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
If I may interject here.
Please.
Look, I'd just like to say that you got some nerve coming in here and wasting my time and my brother Tony's time. I'm gonna remember your name because you, Al Yankovic, are the most untalented, pathetic loser that I've ever met in my entire life.
Okay, maybe
You're nothing but a hack.
And so then the Dick James character tells the artist to come back with more songs that are, quote, good.
Maybe write more than one song.
Yeah, all the biggest musical acts have more than one song in their catalog.
That's very true. And also, get out in front of a live audience. Any audience, any stage, just get out there, build up your chops, and who knows? Maybe someday we'll talk again.
So quit that backing band nonsense, find a place to work together, and write me tunes that grey-haired old tramps will whistle in the street. You never know. One day, might have enough for an album. Do that, and I'll put you on 10 quid a week.
Dick James thrust Elton into the Troubadour, which is a big music arena, not big in size, but big in notoriety and prestige in LA. And so then the scared and unprepared artist goes out to an intense crowd and absolutely kills it. So this scene where Al is playing in front of his first live audience is parodying the Crocodile Rock scene where Elton's playing in front of his first live audience at the Troubadour, and they're both like so nervous when they go up, and then they start playing and everyone gets so into it that in Weird they're like threatening the people running the bar and stuff, like, you better get ice cream to go along with the song. And then in Rocketman they are literally floating off the floor in excitement. Then after Crocodile Rock, a business industry expert approaches the artist and wows them with their know-how, and, you know, they're so fresh-faced, and so they want to go along with what this person is saying. So this is parodying the Tiny Dancer scene in Rocketman. However, unlike in Rocketman, this industry expert will not be the downfall of the artist. In Rocketman, it is John Reed, who Elton ends up having a long relationship with and is being used by. Whereas in Weird, it is Dr. Demento, who Weird Al was looking up to. So that is his industry expert. However, we do get kind of a John Reed character later on, and that is Madonna, but we will get to that later. Then we get a montage of a rise to fame, and that is very similar, especially in the way that it is portrayed, to the Cat Named Hercules scene in Rocketman.
I have never seen a collection of Hawaiian shirts like this.
Oh, these, yeah. I wear one solid platinum record medallion for each time my album went platinum. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Then we have the artist call home, essentially asking if the mother is proud of him. So Al calls home and asks if his mother is proud of him. And she essentially says that she is, but his father explicitly is not. And so this phone call scene is one of those scenes where I instantly was like, oh my God, this is such an obvious parody. And it's parodying the very heartbreaking phone call that we get with Elton calling his mother back home and coming out to her over the phone, and her basically being like, well, I knew that, but I just want you to know that you're never going to find love. And it's a very rough scene, but this is a very funny parody version of that.
Listen, if you do want to get that job down at the factory, I'm sure your father can pull a few strings for you.
Okay, take care now. Bye-bye.
Love you, Alfie.
Yep.
Oh, tough call with the folks, huh?
You'll never be loved properly. Right, got to go.
Said I'll never be loved. Don't ever put me in this position again. You're on stage in 10 minutes, so get over yourself and do the show. We're running a business here, you fucking idiot.
Then we get the business industry expert giving Al an undesired drug trip. And this is a parody of Elton's battle with addiction, and specifically the Benny and the Jet scene, where he has a major crisis while on drugs and decides to switch the way that he does things. For Al, Al decides that he only wants to compose original songs from here on out. And for Elton, he tries to be straight and ends up marrying a woman. So then in Weird, Al meets his Reed, who is Madonna, who uses him for his fame to try and achieve their own goals, all while pretending to be invested in them romantically. So just like John Reed did to Elton, Madonna, obviously this is a parody, Madonna did not do this, Madonna uses Al to get into his career and gain something for themselves.
You should have a drink.
I don't really drink.
There's one thing I've learned in life. The only thing that can clear your head and make you feel better is hard alcohol. And lots of it.
Well, you know me better than anyone. I trust you.
He'll have a whiskey neat.
Oh.
You know what? Maybe you should bring the whole bottle.
We also get a little bit of Al and Madonna being overly sexual in public, which I think is like a subtle parody of the Kiki scene in Rocketman, where he's singing Don't Go Breaking My Heart in the studio with Kiki, and John Reed comes in and they pause the recording to go make out in the closet.
Look, Mr. Pimento, we have places to be. How long is this going to take?
No one's getting phased out, Dick. Elton feels things will run more smoothly if he has personal management.
Then Al yells at his bandmates and implies that they're nothing without him and his job is the hardest. And this is very, very, very similar to the scene in Rocketman where Elton is yelling at Bernie before going out and playing Pinball Wizard, and he's telling him essentially, I have the hard part, just like Al said, and that he's the one that is really making this business happen, implying that Bernie is not an equal co-collaborator.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Fire me? You guys are nothing without me. Yeah, I could replace you with a drum machine. And you with a guitar machine. And you with I don't know, with some other machine. You're all just a bunch of normals. Okay, I'm the weird one. I am the weird one!
Be yourself, Reggie.
Why the fuck would I want that, Bernie? You know, you wouldn't say this shit to me if you were a real friend. People don't pay to see Reginald Dwight. They pay to see Elton John, the
Don't ever tell me how to do my fucking job!
You have to put up with this, Reg.
Oh, write the fucking lyrics, Bernie! Let me deal with the rest.
They seem nice.
Yeah, they're great.
Sorry. I know.
Then Al tries to kill himself, not as directly as Elton, but still there's the implication that he doesn't care that he's about to die. And then their toxic partner, so Reed and Madonna, encourage them immediately back into performing, not caring really about their mental health or their physical health. And then we get this transition from the hospital bed into them playing for a big crowd that is so reminiscent of the Rocketman scene in Rocketman. And I will be playing those here now. Then we get a scene where, surrounded by drugs, Al realizes that Madonna was just using him. And this is, again, kind of a clear parody of the scene where Elton wakes up after having a really big hangover and confronts Reed about him just using him. So then Al joins his father in the factory. And this parody is very scenes in Rocketman, in my opinion. When Elton marries a woman, when he visits his father in the suburbs with his father's new family, when Elton tries making so much shitty music in the 80s without Bernie, etc., etc. But the main scene that's parodying is Elton leaving Madison Square Garden and going into rehab and reconnecting with what really matters. Then we get this was like, so I'd already decided at this point, like, this is so clearly a parody, but this was just like the cherry on top for me. And that's the fact that Al's mother has a bad fat suit, and she says, she has a line something like, "Oh, and I'm fat now," or something like that. And this, in my opinion, is parodying the really bad fat suit that they put on Bryce Dallas Howard when she played Elton's mom in her later years. Then we get a dinner scene with Al's parents. And in his version, he finally gets the love that he deserves, whereas this scene in Rocketman, the sorry seems to be the hardest word scene, Elton's mother and stepfather and him have a confrontation after they ask for more money, where he essentially finally realizes that they don't truly love him, and he ends that relationship with them.
Oh, that's nothing. You can just throw that thing out. That's
Amish paradise?
Nope, just tear that up in little pieces and get rid of that.
Dad, are these song lyrics?
That's just something stupid I wrote a while ago. It doesn't matter. You can just...
No, Dad. These lyrics are... They're like a window into your soul.
Oh, hang on. Hey, don't bother with that one. That wasn't supposed to be in there. That's not by mistake.
No, that's really good. I wrote a tune to it. Yeah.
Border song.
Yeah.
Then Al has a reunion with Dr. Demento.
You are like a son to me.
You're my brother.
Where he had just finished singing a song, and it was kind of like his comeback song. And this is a parody of, it goes in the opposite order, but Elton has a heartwarming scene with Bernie in the rehab center, where Bernie essentially convinces him to get back into music, but on his own terms. And then Elton sings "I'm Still Standing," which is like the final song of the movie. Then finally, we have an end credit scene with a new original song from both Al and Elton in Rocketman. And in the end credit scene in both, we have comedic blurbs about where everyone is now, and then pictures of the real people. And this is very common in most biopics, but to me, like, the similarities and how they're formatted was very, very similar to me between Weird and Rocketman. So those were all the major similarities I found, but if you guys have watched both, please tell me any other similarities you found, or maybe you caught some similarities while I was showing the clips that I didn't discuss, and I would love to hear more, because for me it was just such a trip seeing how many there were, especially when I started like writing these all down. It was just so mind-blowing to me that no one had figured it out yet. So hats off to whoever proposed this idea, whether it was the director, the writer, Al himself, whoever it was, or maybe it was a collaborative effort. y'all are geniuses, and if you think that your work went unnoticed, it did not. I very much noticed it. So from one Rocketman, Elton John fan to another, thank you very much. And thank you guys, and bye.